All right, so let's get into our yoga so we can relax and decompress a little bit this morning and get all of our stress and tension out of our mind and body. That's why we're here. So what I was going to say, actually for the end of class today, I'd like us to finish in a supported legs up the wall type pose. So if you're near a wall and you have a wall nearby that you can use, that's great. This will be for our final relaxation. If you don't have a wall, you can use the seat of a chair or throw your legs up over a lazy boy or a sofa. And if you don't have those things at the end of class today, just use your pillows and your blankets. So no problem there. And I'm actually going to have us start in child's pose so that we can get right into the lower half of our body and stretch out our low back and get into the legs. If you want to do a more supported child's pose today, have your bigger pillow or bolster in front of you. Also, use your, and I have the usual suspects here, towel, my yoga block, eye covering, my cushion, and the yoga strap. So if you do have a yoga strap, we'll use that towards the end of class. If you don't, we'll roll up our towels or use a scarf. So if you need to gather up some of those things, please do so. And thanks for being here, y'all. I'm happy I get to do some yoga with you this morning. So child's pose. We'll start with wide knee child's pose. Drawing the toes together, sinking the hips to the heels. If we are using a little bit of support in front of us, it can feel quite nice to wrap the arms around that pillow, turning the head to one side, or stacking the hands on top of our support forehead to the hands. If we want to go deeper into it and we feel like we're ready this morning, forego the props, spread the fingers wide, keep the hands broader than the shoulders, and let the belly, heart, and head sink to the ground. My knee people, use your pillows, blankets behind the sit bones for additional support, or simply keep the hips higher up in the air so that you don't have as much pressure in and around the knees. So we'll just let our mind start to settle here. Start to feel the ground below you. We'll close the eyes and redirect our attention inward here. Remember, if you do have any questions throughout class, you can always unmute yourself, use the chat button below. So as usual, let's start with the physical body. Just taking a mental scan here of the whole body. From the top of the head, through the body, out into those fingertips and toes. Feeling this nice stretch across that low back, in and around the hips. Purposeful compression around the knees, giving those legs a nice stretch through the front of the knees and the shins and the tops of the feet. We want that head to be grounded as well, so if the head isn't touching, use your arms or props for the forehead. And start to relax the muscles, loosen the joints, let go of any unnecessary tension or tightness we might find, especially around the face, the shoulders, that low back. And as usual, as we're taking some inventory, if we recognize any areas that we might be healing or taking care of, let's pause on those areas. Send a nice healing breath into them this morning, remembering that we'll always modify our practice accordingly. Continue to let the body sink towards the ground, and now let's start to spread our awareness towards the breath. Simply observe the natural flow of the breath, and we'll try to breathe as smoothly and evenly in and out through the nose. On those inhales, let the body expand. We might feel that breath more through the back side of the body. On the exhales, we have that natural contraction. And as we start to relax into this breath, we can try to take a little bit more deeper breaths here. So every inhale, an opportunity to fill ourselves up with a little bit more fresh air, prana, and energy. And on those exhales, just as important, take the time to empty the body, letting go of stale old air and energy. And let's all cycle through one more nice big breath this morning. Let's stretch this breath out as comfortably as possible, really filling ourselves up with as much air as we can. And same thing on our next exhale. Breathe that breath all the way out. Empty, empty, empty. Even start squeezing and engaging those lower locks or bandhas. So giving that pelvic floor a little squeeze in and up. Lower abdominals pull in and up to help push the air all the way out. And then the next breath in floats the head up and the body up, and we'll come right into our tabletop. So reorganize. Fingers are still wide, hands underneath the shoulders. Draw the knees right underneath the hips. A little bit of space between the feet and the knees. Be mindful of the head floating in space. Do continue to draw that low belly in to keep the spine in neutral. Keeping our hips nice and level, simply stretch the right foot back behind you. Follow the foot to the floor, pressing the heel towards the ground to open up the eye of the knee and stretch out the back of that leg. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bringing the knee down. Other side, left foot stretches back, shifting our weight back to the heel as much as we want. Then make sure we're distributing the weight through the first knuckles on the fingertips to help distribute it out of the wrists. Breath in. Exhale, back to our tabletop. Let's re-extend the right leg this morning. Give it another stretch. Those of us that want to add the strengthening portion, press into the ground, floating the left knee and foot from the floor. Remembering that the area of the body we're focusing on, Muladhara chakra, has to do with grounding, the sense of stability and security. So really feel the strength in the pose from the ground up. Breathe it in. Exhale, brings both knees back down. Re-extend the left leg back. Stay here, just enjoying the stretch up the back of the left leg. Or again, press into the ground. Feel that stability and strength as we pull the right knee, maybe the right knee and foot from the floor. Be mindful of where the head is in space. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, tabletop. Now fingertips into our Hasta Bandha or fist for wrists. If your wrists ever want to take a break, let's flow with our breath for a few rounds of our cat-cow. Inhaling, relaxing the belly, lifting, lengthening from the tip of the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. On the exhale, scoop that tailbone under, draw the low belly in, tuck and round the back up. Drishti to the belly button. Inhale, we create length and space all the way up the spine, helping to decompress the vertebra. And exhale, scoop, tuck, and round to stretch the muscles of the back. Let's take one more of each this morning. We'll bring ourselves back to a neutral spine, and to give our wrists a break, we'll try our broken toe pose and toe stand. So tuck the toes under behind you. Start to walk your hands back towards you. You can bring the knees a little closer together. And we know that this is an intense pose we've been practicing, stretches the whole soles of the feet. Our modifications are to lift the hips up and be in a kneeling position. Feel free to take that yoga mat, fold it under to give your knees a little extra cushion if needed. So while we stretch out the feet, we'll go through a few rounds of our praying mantis to decompress the wrists. So we'll drop our hands towards that ground. The four fingers are together. Now squeeze the fingers to the thumbs. Really pull those fingertips in towards the forearms as we inhale up to praying mantis. Exhale, shake it all the way back down to the ground. So on the inhale, pinch and scoop it up. Pull, pull, pull. Stretch out the tops of those wrists. Exhale, bring it on down. And one more. Pinch and pull, bring it on up. Exhale, shake it out, release. Let's bring our hands back forward into our tabletop. Flatten out the tops of the feet and start tapping out the tops of the feet to the ground. Neutralize those hips, pull low belly in, give the right leg a stretch. We got to stretch out the back of that knee again. Exhale it down. Give that left leg a nice big stretch back. Exhale it down. Let's walk our hands one hand's distance forward here. Tuck the toes under again. On our inhale, we're going to move the body forward into kneeling plank. So it's really important that we are drawing that tailbone under, pulling the front body towards the back body and pressing into the earth. Now on our exhale, we'll just take a bow here. So don't worry about getting the head towards the ground. We are trying to draw those sit bones back towards the heels with the toes tucked. Inhale, move forward to kneeling plank. The crown of the head extends forward, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, take a bow. Inhale, kneeling plank, adding a little bit of upper body strengthening and stability. This exhale, bend your elbows towards your rib cage. Don't have to do a lot, maybe just an inch or two. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, take a bow. If your wrists also need a break, pop those palms up so the fingertips are into the ground and you're decompressing your wrist and your bow. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, a half chaturanga here, little bend in the elbows, strengthening the upper back and triceps. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, take a bow. And then one more, inhale, kneeling plank. This exhale, we will come all the way down to our belly today. So on the exhale, try to lower yourself down as slowly as you can with control. If that's okay on your shoulders, we'll lie all the way down onto the belly. Slide the hands nice and tight underneath the shoulders. Flatten out the tops of the feet to the ground. Remember to keep your feet wide if you take care of your low back, or zip the toes and heels together. Chin is to the ground. Bhujangasana. Give the backside a little bit of a squeeze. Lift the chest and heart up. Actively pull those shoulder blades down the back. Squeeze the elbows in. Now, from here, we will hold and breathe. So you will be using your low back and buttocks. Let's take it a little bit further. Try to lift the hands up. So squeezing, strengthening the backside. One leg at a time, half locust with a straight leg. Squeeze the back of the right side and try to lift the right leg up. Inhale. Exhale it down. Left side squeezes to lift, half locust. Exhale down. Repeat one more time on each side or join me for Purna Shalabhasana, extending the arms back now, reaching the fingertips towards the toes, palms down, and inhale, breathing, lift the legs, and everything comes up. So really strengthening the back of the body here. Let's try to take one more breath in. Are you moving side to side with your legs? On our next exhale, we'll take Prone Shavasana. So the head may turn to one side, arms flap down, palms up. The heels fall open, and we just relax the whole body. And we'll observe and notice the body and the breath for a moment. Option to place the hands on the forehead if that's more comfortable for the neck. And if our heart rate went up, that's normal. Those are energizing poses. If the head is turned in Prone Shavasana, carefully turn it the opposite direction for one more breath to counter. Twist the neck. And then bring the chin back forward. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes under. Draw that low belly in and try to press back up to our kneeling plank position. From here, walk the hands back into broken toe pose. So broken toe pose, those feet are tucked under, hips to sit bones. Now the feet can be closer together and I want you to draw your knees together. So your modification will be to stay here, to be in your kneeling position if needed. Those of us that want to go into the more powerful pose of Padangusthasana or toe stand, we need to see how that translates to the knees. We don't want any unnecessary pressure on the knees. So if you want to try toe stand today, glue the knees together, fingertips towards the floor, and then we press up and try to float those knees up. So a little bit of space between the feet. Knees are squeezing together, maybe just an inch or two between the feet. Do draw that low belly in. So if we're here, I'll give us some more options. Hands to thighs, lifting up through the chest and the heart. Now it's our balancing pose. Our hands to heart center. Eventually, arms go extend forward. We'll hold for a breath. Now, some of us will not try to rise up if we are taking care of our knees. You may simply fold forward, straighten the legs, and come into your forward fold where we'll all catch up. Those of you that would like to try to rise up with me today, powerful pose. We are trying to lean the back, use the core, and on our inhale, squeeze those knees, straighten the legs, and we try to rise up away from the ground. Once you come up, open the knees up, reach the arms up. We're up on our tippy toes, trying to touch the ceiling. Now on the exhale, drop the heels to the ground, open the feet back to hips width. Swan dive the arms back and down, little micro bend in the knees, and we'll all catch back up in Uttanasana. So we'll take a moment here in our first standing forward fold. This is a wonderful pose to stretch the backs, the legs, and the low back. But those of us that take care of our low back might need to modify a little bit more. So our modification is bent knees, hands or elbows on our thighs and step. And you can still release one arm at a time from the modification, no problem. Others of us might be dangling the arms and head towards the ground or taking hold of our elbows for a little bit more of a stretch. Grants the legs one at a time, bending one knee a little bit more than the other. Now it's important to have strong feet and legs here, and those lower locks will also support the body. So the pelvic floor is still lifting, low belly is still lifting. Now next inhale, let's take a halfway lift, hands to shins or higher, pull the shoulder blades on the back. And then this exhale, bend your knees. We're gonna bring it back down towards the ground and walk our hands forward into downward facing dog. And we'll take a couple breaths here as well. So in our downward facing dog, feel free to continue to bend one knee at a time, stretching out the backs of those legs. Our modifications that are drop back down to knees or child's pose at any time. Equal weight in the hands, draw those shoulders away from the ears. Continue to pull that low belly in, belly towards thighs, pressing the thighs towards the back of the mat and sinking those heels towards the ground. Little tension up through the legs and low back, simply bend your knees. Next inhale, let's float those heels up. Exhale, lower the heels back down towards the ground. Big stretch. Now this inhale, look forward and let's try to walk, step, or float our feet back to our hands. One more time on our standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, lift the chest, squeeze the upper back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Those of us that want a little bit more, locust your arms beside the torso, palms in. Give the upper back a nice squeeze. Good. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Squeeze the back, nice strong legs. Exhale, we'll sit back into Utkatasana. So drop the hips down and float those arms up. Now we were just upside down for a while, so always remember blood pressure, get lightheaded, dizzy, just sit down towards the ground. So feet are strong, toes pointing forward, knees to toes. Shrug the shoulders from the ears. If we have tension in the neck and shoulders this morning, simply bring your hands to heart. So we'll go right into a little bit of our balance work. Continue to pull up through those lower locks. Let's squeeze and float our right foot from the floor. Try a little hover. Good. Bring it down. Let's squeeze and lift the left foot up into a hover. Exhale, let's sink a little further down. Make sure knees to toes. Drop those hips back and down. Then this inhale will all rise up into our extended mountain. So straighten the legs, reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Drishti upwards with a little bit more extension. Turn the palms out. Exhale, float the arms down beside the body. Taking mountain pose or Tadasana for a moment. Today, let's turn our palms to face forward, feeling that upper arm bone externally rotate, just giving our chest and heart a little bit more opening. Float the head. Starting with our foundation in those feet, try to pick up all the toes, pressing down through the mound of the big toe and inner heel. Mound of the pinky toe, outer heel. So really feeling those four corners and each foot equally weighted. Make sure we're unlocking the knees, pulling the energy up through the front of the thighs. Again, up through root lock and the pelvic floor. Just about an inch below the navel, draws in and up. Lengthen the upper buttock down. Inhale, reach those arms back up to the ceiling. Bring the palms to touch, exhale to our center. So we'll move right into our palm tree pose and then try our dropping pose. We'll do a little bit more of our balance work and then get into some bigger standing poses. So inhale one more time, re-extend those arms up, but this time lift the heels up. Palms touch, exhale, we try to slowly lower down. Again, inhale, draw a nice big circle. Pressing the balls of the feet into the ground, lift the heels up as high as possible, exhale. One more palm tree pose. Exhale, lower it down. So we'll go right into dropping pose. We did this on Wednesday, I think, or might have been another class. So dropping pose is a lot like palm tree pose. Relax your arms down, but our arms actually do a counter movement to the feet. So some of us, our brains will like this. Some of us, our brains will not like it, but it's good to challenge the brain. So your arms are relaxed down beside you. On the inhale, float your hands up and forward and let your fingers be nice and relaxed. So I'm bending at the elbows, just letting my fingers flat. Now as I exhale, I press my palms back down and lift the heels up. So my arms are countering that lift. The inhale lowers the heels, softly floats the hands, bending at the elbows up. Exhale, palms push down to lift the heels up. Inhale, lower the heels, float the hands up. Let's try a couple more. Exhale, push, lift. Inhale. One more. Exhale, push and lift. Inhale. Good. And then this exhale, just let your arms float back down beside you and relax. So I like that one because it just makes my brain work a little bit differently versus always reaching up. All right, let's get into some of our bigger standing poses so we can get into these muscles down the backs of the legs. We'll first do our standing straddle pose. So you might need to move yourself on your yoga mat. If you have yoga blocks or props that you're using, place them to the long edge of your yoga mat. I'm gonna have my chair as my assistant. So whatever you need in your space. So once we reorganize ourselves in our space with our props, we wanna open those feet nice and wide. And then extend those arms straight up from the shoulders. To begin, feet parallel, toes pointing forward. We should still be able to root down to the four corners of the feet, so avoid rolling to the instep or outer step of the feet. Keep them equally weighted, unlock those knees, draw the quads up. Take a breath in. Exhale, hands to hips, turn your toes in, so the toes turn in a little bit more. Inhale, create length up the front of the spine, but stay connected to the core. And on the exhale, you're pouring the pelvis forward. And just come down a little bit. A few degrees to start. The more slowly we move into a pose, the more our body will start to open up and those muscles won't resist to protect us. The inhales, we create space and length. Exhales, maybe we gently move a little further, contracting abdominal muscles, keep your feet and legs nice and strong. So we will continue to hold for several breaths. Give your body time, especially first thing in the morning, if we haven't done any other movements yet today. So those of us moving a little further into the pose, fingertips to props or towards the floor, that's fine. Try to keep the heart open. This might start to turn into more of an inversion. So if we walk the hands between the feet and the head is below the heart, we'll either keep our drishti right below the tip of the nose or drop the head down, looking between the legs. Still pulling the shoulders away from the ears. Don't just let your shoulders collapse down. Keep the energy running the front of the spine and the back of the spine. One more breath in the pose. Now our next inhale, let's float up to our halfway lift. So we'll either walk our fingertips more forward, come back up on our props or whatever we're using. We're gonna add one more pose here. That's more of an inner thigh stretch. So very carefully bend your left knee, just slightly, just a little bit. And shift your hips over to the left. So we should start to feel this more up the inside of the right leg. Inhale, straighten left leg. Exhale, right knee bends. Doesn't have to bend a lot, just a little bend in the right knee. And then slide your hips to the right. We're still trying to keep the hips and low back nice and level. And we should feel that more up the inside of the left thigh. Let's do that one more time to each side. Inhaling up through center. Exhale, a little side lunge here. Bend the left knee. Stretch out the inner right thigh. Inhale up. And exhale other side. So this does go a lot further in this pose, but we're just doing the gentle version this morning. And then inhale, come right back to center. Make sure legs are strong. Pull the low belly in. Use your core. Exhale one hand at a time to those hips. And take an even bigger breath in through the nose to float the head up. Try to inhale even more. Reach your arms out and overhead. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Bring those palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Heel toe, step, step, step those feet together. Back in your Tadasana pose. Now for turn sideways, we're gonna have to rearrange ourselves again and turn ourselves back to the short end of our yoga mat for Parsvottanasana or our pyramid pose. Take your props with you, so if they're off to the side, move them towards the front of your yoga mat. Keep your props shoulder width apart. I already moved sideways, so I already have my chair waiting for me. So we'll get into another hamstring stretch here. We'll start with our feet parallel, extend the arms down beside us in Tadasana. Stack the body nice and strong and tall. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. Exhale, bring the hands back to the hips. So we're not on a tightrope. We have a little bit of space between the feet. We'll step our right foot back, maybe 2 feet or so. So it's not a full long lunge. Right toes will angle out slightly, but keep your right hip facing forward. Again, the movement comes from the hips. So we do lift through the heart, and on the exhale, we start to hinge. Important to keep the knees unlocked. Don't jam your knees and collapse the knees back. Equal weight in both feet. And same thing, come a little bit. You don't have to go to our furthest stretch right away. Inhale creates the space. On our exhales, we might start to move a little further into that space. So we'll start to feel this stretch up the back of the left leg and thigh. Some people get a stretch in the back of the right Achilles and calf muscle too, depending if you hold tightness in the area. We want to try to keep the low back and hips as level to the ground as possible. And if the breath allows, we'll continue to hinge. Maybe bringing our fingertips back down to our props or towards the floor. Continue to draw the low belly in. Some of us will start to draw the belly towards the thigh. Now, depending where our back is, our drishti or our gaze point will be different. So if we're higher up, we're looking in front of the left foot. If we're lower down, we can look to the big toe. And those of you that are going to move more into the inversion again, you may draw your chin towards your chest and press the forehead into the knee, creating that nice acupressure point at the third eye center. Let's all try to take one more breath in the pose. Our next inhale brings us back to halfway lift. So we want to Float the chest, walk those fingertips back forward. Make sure both legs are nice and strong. Pull in through the core, especially if you take care of the back. The exhale brings one hand at a time to those hips. And then on our inhale, we'll press off that front foot. Carefully rise up through the crown of the head. Exhale, steps right foot forward. Arms sewed out beside the body, standing tall in Tadasana. And again, just simply observe and notice for a moment the effects of the pose. Take a big breath in, reach those arms out and up. Exhale, float the hands back down onto the hips. Left foot steps back, straight in line with that hip. So you still have a little space between the feet. Left toes might angle out slightly. Re-square the hips if they shifted. Left hip forward, right hip back. We're also trying to keep them nice and level. Unlock the knees, strong quads. Pull up to your pelvic floor, lower abdomen. Inhale, create the length. Exhale, start to hinge just a little bit. Turn to do a balancing pose as well. And then we just follow our breath, starting to feel this up the back of the right leg and thigh. Some of us might also get a little bit of stretch in that back left ankle or Achilles. You might start to move a little further into the pose. Notice where your weight is. Try to keep as much weight equally between both feet, but we can adjust the intensity of the pose sometimes by shifting our weight a little bit more to the front foot, back foot, or side to side. Do continue to stay connected to those abdominal muscles. Again, adjust your drishti with the spine so the head stays a nice extension of the spine. Those of us that have belly to thigh, and we have the ability, without compromising our posture, tuck the chin to the chest, forehead to the knee, creating that acupressure. One more breath in our pose, Parsvottanasana. Our next inhale, halfway lift to help adjust our blood pressure. Float the chest, reconnect, nice strong legs and core. Exhale, one hand at a time to those hips. Inhale, breathing, press off the front foot. Rise up to the crown of the head. Exhale, left foot steps forward. Extend the arms out. Pause for a moment in Tadasana, mountain pose. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach up. Bring those palms to touch. Exhale, back to our heart center. So let's do some little bit more balance. We can clear our space now of our props. And we'll add some movement into this balancing pose. We just hold some more longer stagnant postures. So let's get the energy and blood flowing back through the whole body. This will be our crane pose. And this is a nice way to practice our balance and loosen things up. So feet, hips width apart. Soften the arms beside the body. No tension in the face, neck and shoulders. Make sure you're in a safe space. We'll lean a little bit to our right side. So right side's going to be the active, strong stability side. And we want to start to lift and lower the toes of the left foot. Just first finding our balance here. And then we'll take 3 breaths and move with the breath. So on our next inhale, soft hands again. Joints are really soft. Pull the left knee up. Let the left foot just kind of dangle. Let your fingertips dangle. Little bend in the elbows. Arms come up overhead like a bird flapping its wings. On the exhale, we float back down to touch or hover. Inhale pulls us up. Exhale, hover or touch. One more with the breath. So our next exhale will land as softly as possible. Pretend again we're that bird landing on the lake, and we want to create as few ripples as possible. Pause for a moment. Other side, lean a little bit to the left here. Left leg roots into the ground, nice and strong. Arms, head, and neck relax. Start to lift and lower the toes of the right foot. Find a little hover. On our inhale, contract to float the right knee up, but just dangle the foot as much as possible. Nice soft joints, arms float overhead. Crane pose. Exhale. We float back down. 2 more times. Inhaling to lift, good. Exhale. 1 more, big breath in. Next exhale, just try to land as softly as possible. Right into Tadasana. Keep your gaze focused. Simply observe the body, the breath. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach out and up. Big stretch. Bring the palms to touch and exhale back to our center. So I'm not sure where we all are on our mats, but those of us that want to come back down to Padangusthasana and toe stand, we'll move to the back of our yoga mat and we'll lower ourselves down. If we're not practicing toe stand or the lifting and lowering portion due to our knees, you're welcome to move to the front of your mat. Take a nice swan dive to your forward fold, walk your feet back to downward facing dog, and that's where we'll all catch up. So listen to your body. Those of us that want to try to go back down, take the elevator back down through our toe stand, bring the feet a little closer together so they're just about a couple inches apart, and then we squeeze the knees together so the knees have some stability there. Draw that low belly in, lengthen the upper buttock down. Float the arms parallel to the floor. Now lift those heels up. Keep squeezing the knees. Now the challenge is to try to slide down an invisible wall so we keep our upper body stacked. Do what you can. Slowly lower. Turns into a strong balancing pose. Those of you in your forward fold, you can take your time there. Those of us balancing, 1 more breath. Keep squeezing those knees, pull that low belly in. Inhale. On our exhale, we'll float the fingertips to the floor. Walk the hands forward. Float those hips up. So we're moving differently into our downward facing dog. Might feel a little odd, that's good. And then position your feet parallel to each other. Feel free to drop 1 heel at a time into the ground as we bend the opposite knee to give the backs of those legs another stretch. We're also stretching out the soles of the feet and the toes in this pose when we walk our dog. Inhale, both heels up as high as we can. Exhale, lower the heels towards the ground. Inhale, shift our body back forward into our plank. We'll do 1 more, strengthening, stability, feeling that nice strength going from the ground up here. Kneeling plank, always an option. Fingers are spread nice and wide. So is forearm plank. Be mindful where the head is in space. Compact those hips. Glutes can be slightly active, pulling low belly in. Happily breathing. We're already halfway there, so just about 2 more breaths. We got this. Start to feel a little shaky and wobbly. Normal. Take 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. And then inhale, float those hips up and back. Exhale, shift the weight down the heels, downward facing dog. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, we'll drop our knees to the ground. Taking more traditional child's pose if that's available for us, sinking our hips to our heels. Sliding the hands back to the feet, palms up to decompress the wrist. Dropping the head towards the ground, give it some type of support. Let the shoulders hang down. Pump your hands and fingertips a couple times. Big stretch for that low back. Let's take one more breath in our pose. And then hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin. We'll either transition through Vajrasana, Thunderbolt pose, rounding up, or your tabletop. Let's shift our hips over to either side and extend those legs forward. So we will do a seated pose before we transition onto our back today, so just rearrange yourself. We'll practice our Janu Sirsasana, which we've been doing. So you might want a little lift underneath the hips. I don't often lift myself up as high for Janu Sirsasana. Depending on how high up you are, you might also need support underneath the knee. So I'm taking my folded towel and seeing if that's enough. We've already stretched those hamstrings out some in our standing poses, so we might be able to be there. We'll sit up on our sit bones, so move the flesh out of the way. Extend the legs forward into Dandasana. Feel free to keep your knees bent in this pose. It's more important to have your sacrum perpendicular to the floor and your spine in neutral. So our tight hamstrings pull us out of alignment. We end up like this, no bueno. So bend your knees up until you can sit up. At that point, strongly, you can try to stretch one leg forward at a time. If you are lifted up higher up, you'll want to slide a rolled blanket or towel underneath the knees as well, so you don't hyperextend. Hands are beside the hips. This uses those lower locks quite a bit here, so I'm squeezing up to the pelvic floor of my lower abdominals. Actively flexing the feet and trying to line up all the toes in the feet, including the pinky toes. Quads are active. Staff pose. Take a breath in. On the exhale, slide the right heel in right in front of the sit bone. So there's about 1 hand space between the inside of my foot and thigh to start. And then we'll allow the right knee to fall open. From there, we'll draw the sole of the foot closer towards the leg. Give your right knee support as needed. We are trying to draw the heel up towards that pelvic floor in this variation. If we're lifted higher up, your heel will be below it, so you won't quite feel that connection. But if you feel a little bit of it, that's great. It's a reminder to keep the area active. And then depending on the flexibility at our ankle, either the sole of the foot or the ball of the foot will press into the inner thigh. Left leg stays active. Float the fingertips, shoulder width apart to frame the left leg and align the heart with the shin bone. Inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, again, we're trying to hinge from the hips. Now, if you just flop in half easily, like a sandwich, I don't know what it'd be like, you should probably actually bring yourself up out of the pose. So people that are hyper flexibility and just fall in half probably need to work on a little bit more strengthening so you have more structure around the joints of the body. So just adjust for your body. If you're like me, stiff like a board, then I just try to use my exhales to try to create some more flexibility. Notice how that translates to the low back. Low belly should be pulling in. For some of us, our breath will take us a little deeper into the pose today, so you will continue to draw the belly towards the thighs. Fold your elbows out, draw your shoulders away from the ears so the front of the spine is as long as possible. Again, depending where we are in our torso, our drishti will either be forward towards that big toe, if you're further in the pose, towards the knee. Feeling that stretch with the back of the left leg, a little bit around the right hip. Those of you that are further in the pose, belly towards the thighs, again, you can take chin to chest, Jalandhara Bandha, little gentle rounding forehead to the knee. That is the name of the pose. Now, those of us that are more upright will also give ourselves permission to do some mindful rounding. So this is as far as I can go just with my flexibility. You could come and push on me. I'm not going to go any further, but on my next breath, I'm going to just gently bow my head towards the knee, and that's going to start to stretch a little bit more of that connective tissue. And we'll all take one more breath in our pose. Left foot and leg should still be nice and active. If we have chin to chest, Jalandhara Bandha, on your inhale, you may round up one vertebra at a time. If you're more like me and more upright, my next inhale, I'll just lead with the crown of the head up. I want to make sure I'm stacking my spine straight up. Take a hold of the right knee, float the right knee up. We're placing the right foot right in front of the sit bone. Take the hands to that right shin bone and sit up as tall as possible for Marichyasana C. So draw the belly towards the thigh. Hug the left arm around the right shin bone. Bring the right fingertips behind the body towards the floor. Press the ground away from you. Start to rotate and twist. Belly gets in the way. You literally can take your hand and just kind of move the belly a little bit more to the right as well. But this is good. This compression here of the abdominal wall is another benefit of our twist. So it's purposely compressing and massaging our internal organs and our ascending colon here. Spine is long and tall, left leg stays active. The exhales, we might gently continue to rotate around the axis of the spine, through the shoulders, the neck, the head, and the eyes, giving our eyes a nice stretch back behind us for one more breath. Take a deep breath in. On our next exhale, unwind the head, the shoulders, and the body to face straight back forward. Cactus the arms. Exhale, gently bow over to the left. Inhale, float the crown of the head up. Exhale, slide the right foot forward to meet the left. Hands beside the hips. Sit up tall. Dandasana staff pose. Pause for a moment. And then step that left heel into the sit bone. Allow the left knee to fall open. Add props underneath the left knee as needed. Right leg strong and active, foot flexed. Gently draw the left heel towards the perineum if possible. And then again, either the sole of the left foot or the ball of the left foot might make contact with your inner right thigh. Sit up tall, float the fingertips out shoulder width, framing the right leg, align the heart to the shin. Inhaling, and on the exhale, we're trying to find more movement at the pelvis. Keep extending the crown of the head. Drishti to big toe, knee, and then as we breathe, it might change if we go further into it. Elbows floating out, leading with the heart, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. Continue to draw that low belly in. And those of us that have moved further into the pose, summit to thigh, you want to add throat lock and squeeze the chin to the chest and press the forehead, third eye center into that knee. Again, be mindful to not hyperextend the back of the knee. Those of us that are more upright, for our final deep breath in the pose, we may just gently bow towards the knee, even if we're several miles away, and just allow those muscles and the connective tissue to get a little bit of a stretch. Relaxing the arms a little bit more as well. On the inhale, if the chin is tucked, you'll keep it tucked and you'll round up. If you're more extended, lift up through the crown of the head as we breathe in, restacking the spine up to neutral. Float the left knee up. Plant the left foot to the ground, about 1 hand's distance between the inside of the thigh and the foot. Take a hold of the shin bone, pull the chest towards the knee. Sit up nice and tall, nice active right leg. Start to wrap right arm around left shin bone, move the belly. Left fingertips float behind, pressing the ground away from us to sit up as tall as possible through the crown of the head. Our exhales might gently start to rotate and twist us a little bit further. Mid-back, upper back, shoulders, neck, head. And eventually the eyes can get a nice stretch here as well. Opening them nice and wide, peeking as far to the side as we can. One more breath. And we'll take one more inhale in the twist. Our exhale will lead us out of the pose, releasing the head, the shoulders, and the body to face forward. Cactus the arms from the shoulders, and then gently bow to the right to counter our twist. Inhale, floats the body up. Exhale, left foot meets right foot, hands beside the hips, sit up tall, Dandasana. Breathe it in. And then exhale, relax. All right, good job. So now we're ready to come onto our backs. This is where I want us to have a strap handy so that we can continue with our leg and feet stretching. If you don't have that strap, but you have a long scarf, that'll do the trick. If we don't have either of those, take a bath towel, fold it in a nice long rectangle, roll it up as tightly as possible so that you have something like this. And to come onto our back today, remember, safest way is to use your hands to walk down. If you'd like to join me in our slow roll down, we leave space behind us, bring the soles of the feet to the ground, let the knees open wider than the hips, hollow out the belly, contracting the abdominals, reaching the fingertips forward, and trying to articulate and roll down. Good. One vertebra at a time. Pull in the belly. Belly in, low back, lumbar, mid back, shoulder blades. Eventually the back of the head falls to the ground. Arms reach overhead. Straighten both legs out to the ground down the middle of the mat. Long body stretch. Point and flex the feet. Spread the toes and fingertips. Let the low back gently arch now to open up those abdominals. Feel that stretch to the rib cage. Big breath in. Exhale, we'll float those arms down. So we'll walk our feet in, loosen up the clothing, move your ponytails out of the way. Take a hold of that strap. And we'll start with our right side. Draw the right knee in, taking the strap across the lower arch of the foot more towards the heel. Press that leg up, getting the leg as straight as possible. Remember, let the weight of the leg fall away from you as needed. From there, we can bring it a little closer. Keep your arms open, hands open. Wrap the strap around the hands. I let my shoulders just kind of dangle, back of the head is relaxed. Low back stays grounded. More stretching, slide the left heel straight forward, anchor that leg to the ground. Left foot is flexed as well. We'll take a couple deep breaths here, in and out through the nose. Trying to stretch out, open up the eye of the back of the knee. Lengthen through the inner legs and both legs, from the inner groin all the way down to the inner heel. A little bit of contraction from the outer heel to the outer hip. Now take the strap in the right hand. Left hand on top of your left hip. Keep the left side down on the ground, low back flat to the floor. Try to get the right thigh bone closer to the body, so bending the knee is needed. Then allowing the leg to fall open to the right. Elbow to the floor as a kickstand. From there, you may try to re-extend the leg. Ideally, the leg is higher than the hip, hence the bent knee. Right hand is doing the work. Keep both feet active. Keep continuing to open the insides of the legs from the inner groin to the inner heel. Left arm may reach up from the shoulder, head may turn to the left. Couple deep breaths here. Our next inhale will bring the head and we'll help the leg back up to center. Outer hip stretch. Keep the right hip down, leg as straight as possible. Hold on with the left hand, shoulders down, Angle the right leg across the midline a few degrees. We should start to feel this in that outer hip and thigh. Feel free to punch or massage those muscles. Move around in that space till you get to that sweet spot. Low back sinks down, shoulders sink down. Stay there, or moving into the twist. Left elbow to the floor, keep tension on the belt. Keep the right shoulder sinking into the ground. Right arm may extend out from the shoulder, head may turn to the right. The right hip will come up at that point, but the leg will probably not touch the ground. One more breath. Bringing out any tension or tightness in the body, let it go. Our next inhale will bring the head and the leg back up. Open the strap, slide the left foot in and up, pause and waterfall pose for a moment. Other side, right foot to the floor. Strap is near that lower arch towards the heel. Wrap the hands, relax the shoulders down. Straighten the left leg as much as possible, actively pressing out through that inner heel. At that point, we can slide our right heel forward, right leg just as active. Toes towards the shin bone. From there, maybe moving the left leg a little closer towards the body, opening up the back of the leg and the knee. Couple deep breaths. Then left hand holds onto the strap, right hand grounds the hip, right side stays down. Bend the left knee as needed to get that left thigh bone closer to the body. Drop that left elbow out into the kickstand. Re-extend the leg if possible. Continue to feel like you're externally rotating the thigh bones, pressing those inner heels out. Spread the toes of the feet. Inner thigh growing muscles stretching out across the front of the pelvis. Right arm might move from the shoulder, head to the right. Take a couple deep breaths. Left hand is doing the work. Our next inhale will float the head and the leg up. Low back is grounded, right hand takes over. Keep the left leg as straight as possible. Make a diagonal across the midline, pulling the left hip down. Left shoulder is down. Left arm reaches from the shoulder, head may turn to the left, or use your left hand to punch or massage that outer hip. Move the leg around, get into that sweet spot. Choose to stay there, bend at the right elbow, keep tension on the belt. Left hip can roll up into a spinal twist. Left arm out, head turns to left. Relax the face, the throat, and the shoulders. Let the right hand do the most of the work. And on our next inhale, we'll bring the head and help the leg back up to center. Open the strap up, right foot floats up, pause and waterfall pose for a moment. Bend the knees, take the strap off to the side, cross one ankle on top of the other, stretch the arms straight up to the ceiling, flop the hands and the fingertips forward into dead bug pose. Wiggle the fingers gently if we need to help release the hands from the work they just did. Switch which ankle is on top, take one more breath in dead bug pose. Uncross those ankles, take the hands, arms across the shin bones, draw the nose up towards the knees, give the body that nice big hug, stretch out the whole back, breathe it in. And then on this next exhale, relax the head and the feet to the floor. So those of us that want to move into our legs up the wall pose, or move ourselves over to a chair or a sofa, bring one arm beside the head, roll over to one side, take a quick pause just to regulate our blood pressure. And then we can press down into the ground and rearrange ourselves. So if you are near a wall or you want to move yourself to a wall, you'll bring your sit bones right up against the wall, slide your legs up the wall. If you don't have a wall nearby, but you have a chair, another option is to take the seat of the chair, adding additional blanket on top of the chair to make it more comfortable, and bringing the calves on top of your chair or your sofa. You can scoot your hips a little further away so that the thigh bones are more at 45 degrees. If you don't have a wall or a chair, you can stack pillows or blankets under the legs. They're a little bit more elevated. The idea is just to honor our legs today, take some pressure out of those lower joints in the legs, and allow that circulation to move towards the upper half of the body. If we're in legs up the wall, or if we're elevated, we can also cactus our arms back out beside us, bending at the elbows, dropping the backs of the hands to the floor, making sure that the weight moves into the meaty part of the shoulders and not the neck. Of course, you can be in any other comfortable position with your pillows, your blankets, your eye coverings, whatever feels best for you today. So I'll give us a moment to move around, to organize. I'll guide us through just a little bit more relaxation. And then use the singing bowl to bring us out of our pose to finish class together today. So really try to get the body in the most comfortable place that we can. Supporting the body and then releasing the body towards the ground. Letting go of trying to control the body. Letting go of trying to control the breath. Smoothing all the skin across the forehead and brow. Letting go of any expression on the face. Allow the eyes to sink into the sockets. Poof the cheeks with air, wiggle out the mouth. Relaxing the root of the tongue and the lower jaw. Muladhara chakra is also associated with the bones of the body. So loosen at all the joints and just feel the heaviness of the bones sink in towards the ground. The arm bones, all the little bones in the hands and the fingertips. Around the rib cage, the sternum. All the way down the back, vertebra by vertebra. Feel that low back sink into the earth. And then feel the weight of the bones in the legs, the thigh bones, around the knees, the lower legs, and all the little bones that go down into the feet and the toes. Relaxing the whole body. The seed mantra associated with this area of the body is the mantra LAM, L-A-M. Other mantras are I am grounded, I am safe, I am secure. So if the mind becomes distracted or wanders away, we can either just gently bring it back to the peaceful rhythm of the breath, or mentally repeat a mantra over and over again. Giving ourselves just one more moment this morning to let go, to relax, and to feel grounded, safe, and secure. We'll all slowly start to come back to our breath. Those of us that have our legs up the wall, You may gently slide your feet down the wall and open the knees wide and Baddha Konasana at the wall. The rest of us can start to wake up the fingers and toes, take a gentle rock of the head side to side. If we have our legs up into a chair, we'll just very carefully draw the knees towards the body and rock there. If you're at the wall, you'll squeeze your knees together from bound angle pose and do the same. You'll have to scooch the buttock a little further away from the wall. So being mindful of where we are in our space with our props. Once we've hugged the knees towards our chest, we'll bring one arm beside the head and roll over to one side. Again, pausing for a moment, cradling the head on the arm. And then working with your space, we'll press into the ground, keeping the eyes soft or closed. We'll bring our bodies up today, revisiting or visiting for the first time maybe, a comfortable seated posture, sitting up tall on our sit bones, and taking just a couple more breaths together today. So being mindful of the space around us. Let's reach those arms out from the side of the body. Take another nice big breath in through the nose. We'll float our arms up towards the ceiling and we'll gather up everything we need for the rest of our day. Turning those palms back out, floating the fingertips all the way back down to the floor. Exhaling away all that other stuff you don't need today. And then inhale, reaching back up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, lower the hands down to the heart. Humbly bow the head to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us all to connect and practice our yoga together today. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So thank you all so much